Celebrities, you can't live with them, you can't live without them. Something we definitely prove on Unfiltered this week. We're looking at the time Mark Hamill shared his love for Ariana Grande, even if he didn't mean it. George the Poet breaks down diabetes in a handy guide, and Taylor Swift takes celebrity baggage to a whole new level. Not all famous people know other celebrities, surprisingly. This theory was proven when Mark Hamill accidentally stanned Ariana Grande on Twitter. Yep, the Luke Skywalker confused everyone when he gave a rogue nod to Ariana's new single in a tweet, saying, "Thank you next." Hashtag Twitter test for twits. Now, to your regular Star Wars fan, that might have seemed like a fairly innocent tweet, but it quickly got back to Ariana, who had her own fangirl moment tweeting, "I can't breathe." And to be fair, you can't blame her. I mean, if my work was recognized by one of the greatest Jedis the galaxy has ever known, intentionally or not, I'd need a moment to myself too. Not one to be out-geeked, Mark quickly set the story straight. You know you're out of it when someone suggests you tweet what you think is just a random phrase that turns out to be the title of the new album by Ariana Grande. To which Ariana replied, "I'm gonna tattoo this on my forehead." Aside from the obvious lack of forehead space, the point is that Mark clearly hadn't listened to her new single and might not have even known who she was. But it's not the first time a famous person hasn't recognized another celeb. The awkward encounters are hard to watch, but boy are they hard to forget. How about that time Justin Bieber asked who's Shawn Mendes back in 2015? A minor prelude to the Mendes-Bieber beef that shortly followed. Or when Barack Obama shared his ignorance on the world of reality TV, saying, "Kendall Jenner is also here. She seems like a very nice young woman. I'm not exactly sure what she does." Well, at least he got her name right. And we can't leave without crowning the queen of shade when it comes to not knowing celebrities, Mariah Carey. Mariah has successfully taken on the world of pop music by claiming not to know Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande and J-Lo in a string of interviews. Mark's tweet was seemingly much more innocent than any of Mariah's shade. Looks like he hasn't gone over to the dark side yet.
My name's George the Poet. We need to talk about diabetes, man.
Yep, we do. 1 in 10 people will be living with diabetes in the next decade. That equates to 522 million of us by 2030, according to the World Health Organization, which is nearly double the entire population of the US. Basically, that's a lot of people. So here's some Wednesday wisdom on what to do if you think you might have diabetes.
What's up, man? This is George the Poet, and today is World Diabetes Day. So do me a favor, if you notice any of the symptoms, and that includes blurred vision, slow healing wounds, low energy levels, constantly feeling thirsty, constantly urinating, numbness in your hands and feet, you know, any of that, go get yourself checked out at a GP. Better be safe than sorry.
That's just it. We are better to be safe than sorry. Diabetes can cause a lot of issues, as the World Health Organization tweeted. Over time, diabetes can lead to serious damage to the heart, blood vessels, eyes, kidneys, and nerves. World Diabetes Day helps raise awareness of the condition, and with 1 in 2 people still currently living with diabetes not knowing about it, it's still needed more than ever. We asked Dr. Sarah Kayat for her Wednesday wisdom when it comes to dealing with the disorder.
Today is World Diabetes Day, and for my Wednesday wisdom, I want you guys to know that type 2 diabetes can be reversed, or at least certainly we know it can go into remission. So don't feel if you have been given that diagnosis that it's the end of the road. Lifestyle changes can make a difference.
So what actually is diabetes, and how do you know if you've got it? Well, here's a handy and poetic guide from George himself to explain.
If you're a glucose molecule, insulin brings you into the cell to be used as a fuel for energy. But with diabetes, your body can't do all this chemistry. Now in type 1 diabetes, there's 2 main types. In type 1 diabetes, your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. Why? I don't know, scientists have yet to conclude, but that means your cells can't access the energy that's stored in the glucose you get from your food. In type 2, the insulin is there, but for some reason the cells don't respond to it because the insulin's being blocked from doing what it's supposed to do. So again, they can't get energy because it's locked in the glucose, which uses insulin as a conduit.
Basically, diabetes sucks, but you can do something about it. If you're unsure, ask a professional, and hopefully by next year, we can bring those numbers down. The paparazzi. There's nothing like playing a game of hide and seek every time you leave your house, or your car, or the gym, or that kebab shop at 3 AM after a big night out, right? Wrong. But if they're good for one thing, at least the Papped encourage celebs to think creatively when it comes to avoiding the lens. Here's some of the most innovative examples. First up, Taylor Swift. Last July, when the press noticed a human-sized suitcase leaving her hotel, being carried by 2 men strong enough to lift a full-grown person, well, people were a little suspicious. And they were right to be. Zayn Malik confirmed in his recent interview with Vogue that Taylor was indeed pulling a swift one on the press by hiding in her luggage. Privacy is all well and good, but maybe she got a bit carried away. Either way, it looks like she started a trend. Alex Goldschmidt tweeted, "If Taylor Swift travels in a suitcase, then I'm traveling in a suitcase now." If you're worried about the practicalities of fitting into your suitcase, why not take the simpler route of covering your face? An option well modelled by Cara Delevingne, who opted for a stuffed monkey. Granted, bright pink was maybe not the most subtle of colours, but inventive nonetheless. Face covering is, of course, a well-worn tactic, and if you're a huge movie star who's about to be photographed unwillingly by a group of strangers, why not use that moment for good? That's something Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone did when they held cards in front of their faces with charities written on them. Coverage for good causes and a foiled paparazzi, win-win. And if all else fails, you can always rely on the old faithful brown paper bag. Granted, Shia's bag felt more like an art experiment which read "I am not famous anymore," but it could equally have just been because he hadn't washed his hair. At the end of the day, the entertainment industry is all fun and games, but what gets overlooked is the invasion of privacy into people's lives. Imagine everything you do, everywhere you step, constantly being photographed. Me in a food coma after an all-you-can-eat buffet, yeah, that's not a good look.